slate clean. Well, Deputy Director Falcone did mention of assassinations. We have no current intents to do any of that.
Thank you.
Oh, hey,
To
what's going
clear
on,
up
guys?
things. Just to clear up some things, the previous assassination of Site Director King was authorized by the O5 Council, and only after it was authorized by the O5 Council did we proceed.
You broke the door, God damn it, Burger.
The reasons being, he, had tortured a member of the EC, committed multiple ethical violations, and was a potentially active threat against the Foundation. None of which the current Deputy Site Director poses, at least to our knowledge. There are obviously some suspicions of things, but suspicions are suspicions. We only work on clear evidence and, verdict of a jury. Or, a higher authority. So with that in mind, today's incident, it was merely an incident. It was no instructed attack or anything of that regard. There was a investigation that was being done, for which I will not currently disclose. But basically, we were just observing somebody, and that's all we were doing. We're just watching them. And we went over to Owing, or the area in between Owing, and there was a Alpha 1 operative that was tailing us. We very politely told him to go away. Basically, we wanted our own privacy, for which he did not, basically respect our, request. At which point, the Omega 1 had felt threatened and readied their guns in case this Alpha 1 had any harmful intentions, as it was a little odd that he was just trailing us for no apparent reason, which he had never even stated of either. Anyway, unfortunately, the Alpha 1 operative drew his weapon out and aimed it at one of the EC members present. I cannot currently remember. And one of the trigger-happy Omega 1 operatives then took the opportunity to kill him. It was very quick and swift. For which, immediately afterwards, the area which the event had occurred was basically opened up. The door opened up and the rest of the crowd flooded in. And immediately, we told the Omega 1 operatives to stand down, and we allowed the specific operative that killed the Alpha 1 to be arrested. We made sure that there was no problem in this. It was obviously his fault, his mistake, his blunder, his incompetence, and we were not going to let this further anymore. So
I will add on, at the time of the incident, we were actively telling him to stand down. He decided to disobey orders.
Now, unfortunately, his poor actions led to his death by lethal injection, which was ordered by Falcone instead of further investigation. Amidst this, the operative was scorned beforehand, and regardless, basically told he shouldn't have done that. And like I said, it was no intention of ours for such event to occur, and the loss of life was extremely unfortunate and unnecessary. It's obviously not acceptable. It is not in our authority, it is only the authority of the Ethics Committee Chairman to basically demote or punish this operative, which the rest of the Ethics Committee members, bar the Chairman, which we have no idea what his current opinion is, agree that he is definitely in due for a demotion for his incompetence and subsequent loss of life from his incompetence.
Alrighty. Okay,
So,
I do have a couple questions. Number one, what is your view on the petition that is currently held by Dr. Berger about, not that. What is your view on Deputy Site Director Falcone's opinion on Dr. Owl's inability to recruit members? the fact that there's only been, what, 4 people added in the last month to 3 months? If even 4? 3?
3 weeks. 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
So, just to clarify a couple things. Well, yes, he has been slow on the subject, and there is no real good excuse for that other than the fact that he's a very busy man.
I've actually seen some of the applications. I've seen a lot of the applications to some extent. They're pretty bad.
I was also going to say that a lot of the applicants had very poor applications and or motives to get into the EC or otherwise based. Obviously, it's funny that this was mentioned as I was just brought into the committee as of yesterday, which I know is still late, don't get me wrong. But you have to realize the committee is no longer at 7 members at capacity. It is at 5. So we are still a majority full. Obviously, it's preferential if we are completely full, so we do not have a tie in the vote. But there are precautions that can be made to otherwise do this. As of currently, the chairman has authorized me to conduct some of these interviews, and hopefully we will get another member soon, just to fix that problem. But yes, it could have been done quicker, not saying otherwise, but to ensure the highest quality, you have to take your time. Maybe it was too much time, but I've also seen inaction in other areas of the facility before, and while it did hurt, it wasn't the end of the world, and the site moved on from it. I do not think this is I think this is the same case.
Alrighty. And your response to Deputy Site Director Falcone's claim that you were attempting an assassination on him?
I already stated this, but we have no current intentions to do so, as even attempting such a thing as crazy as that would need a higher authority's approval and or a very large consensus and agreement upon said thing. Basically, if a site administration member is going rogue, like working with the CI, that's obviously some kind of justification. But there's no reason for us to do so. Why? The ethics committee has no reason to take out Deputy Site Director Falcone. There is nothing that he currently poses a threat to the Foundation actively. Maybe in the past he made mistakes, but it's not like he's actively working against the Foundation. Like I said, King was only assassinated as he was a larger threat. He had literally formed his own
Doesn't involve
force, ISD, to basically protect him in the absence of Alpha 1, which was a major concern considering the fact, he could have been armed and dangerous, caused a lot of damage. And only in the perfect planning that the Ethics Committee and Omega 1 did was that prevented for the most part.
Alrighty.
So, to put it all in short, we have no current motive to assassinate him. He is, I think most would agree that he's probably trying to dramatize this a little bit to try to basically put a bullseye on the ethics committee's back.
If he goes missing, you guys are fucked. Yeah.
Otherwise. Yeah, basically.
No, we're well aware.
And it's gonna prove otherwise.
Alright, and what was this 096 test he was speaking of?
Oh, okay. Well, we can talk about that. So,
A researcher had proposed an 096 termination test. Initially, both the site director and the director of research approved. They were waiting on us. The deputy site director threatened us and said that if we voted before the termination, no one would be able to recognize our bodies. The site director has since rescinded his approval of the test.
Alrighty.
So, here's my question. Obviously, EC has no alignment with the Global Occult Coalition, and nor does the Foundation. We do not like the determination of, anomalies that do not cause us great threat. We're not saying otherwise. But an SCP such as 096 has great capabilities of
I'm in the middle of an interview, bye.
potentially the end of the world if the situation gets too dire. So it is under our understanding that High Command has a active termination order on 096, but obviously the Senate administration override it otherwise. The basic idea and basic question is why would we not terminate 096? He poses a greater threat than what we can research out of him. He's a ticking time bomb waiting to go off. Like I said, we're not here to destroy these anomalies because they pose little threat. But obviously one such as this might have a great threat that is not worth the chance. The same as 682, where he could end the world if, you know, given the right situation. We're not going to allow such a anomaly to be protected in such regard. We're not going to basically stand by and let them destroy everything we know. We're going to try to stop that Armageddon from happening.
Alrighty. And I assume you'll be doing an investigation onto that A1 that you claimed that had shot into your office? Into one of your offices?
As there was no loss of life, there was only injuries. I am currently unsure of this. I mean,
There's no real point. There was just a few minor gunshot wounds.
like there was no like bullets that went through our guts or anything caused a massive amount of pain. It was only scrapes, I guess you could say, like where it goes across the skin instead of actually going into the body. But it's still of concern, like if that kind of, it's either a mass incompetence that could have, you know, led to multiple deaths by shooting at a wall, testing a gun, or maybe it was on purpose. I don't know. I'm not here to call that. I'm just saying it happened, and it was, granted, like I said, we didn't know who it was, but it was pretty easy to tell. The gunshot sounds were very recognizable. It was the Red's Fist. Anybody that heard it would have agreed the same. And obviously there was not that many combative units even in a wing at the time, other than Alpha 1, of course. So it would most likely lead to them. Obviously, never gonna jump to conclusions, but one can only assume. Yeah.
Alrighty. And is there any future plans for EC that you'd like to make a... Actually, I have a question on future plans. How is the current organization of the ability to hold a trial going?
There has been some stalls.
I've been trying since the 10th.
And may I ask what's holding you back?
Circumstances out of our control, from Monty's perspective. Owl is too busy with other circumstances to be holding the position they're in. That is my stance on the matter.
Alrighty.
Now, what I will say is if there's inaction caused by others, we can always take action ourselves. Obviously via the normal routes. But now that I am in, will be trying to my best of my abilities to make sure that all these proper processes are gone through, and we try to do this. And I think Lynne hopes the same, as and that's what we seek to achieve. I think something is coming up soon. What's up?
We are not going to PK the site director mode.
No.
The only reason why there was an assassination done on the former site director is because Command ordered it. Inside info from who? Owl, who is barely around? Monty, who is too busy with other circumstances? There's 4 of us!
Alrighty, what were you saying, Overwood?
Can you remind me of
something about an upcoming... You were talking about something upcoming.
Oh yeah, we have a trial in the works. It's being done. There's been, like I said, it's been, as Lynn mentioned, she's been trying to do it for quite a while, but it is going to get done soon, very soon. We're having Monty work on it. So if he doesn't, I will personally take action. Lynn unfortunately cannot because she's
I
she's
was the main
basically
investigator.
witnessed. She's not a victim. She was just she was an investigator. But,
I
it
assume
will
that
get
you're
done.
not putting out any
Things will
names.
happen.
That it's currently classified on who that is.
I would guess, yes.
Alrighty.
Do you have any other questions so we can clarify things? Is that's what we seek to do? Actually, wait, that actually just reminded me. I have made a request to the manager of the news outlet. Maybe you can talk to him further, but I think it would be great if the heads of staff and the ethics committee had their own news podiums on the communications center, so they could convey their messages much more clearly. As obviously this isn't the case for the HOS, but the ethics committee, what we strive to do is seek clarity. So that could definitely help us out if that was true.
Alrighty. I'll be sure to let him know. In regards to the idea that has been brought up, which was the fact that EC do not do anything on site whatsoever. What is your counter argument to that?
As Monty once said, granted there are quite a few things that we can do, even in certain situations. You have to realize if people aren't committing as much crime, there's only a limited amount that can be done with the ethics committee. Like I said, there are things like approvals, test approvals, generally being the HR of the site. But a large thing that Jacob has pointed us towards is trials. So if there's not as much crime being done, you can't have as many trials. It seems like Lynn is in disagreement with me, so maybe she can speak on her part.
We haven't been doing anything on site because we can't get anything done internally.
Alrighty.
I've been dealing with this since I got brought into the committee, and I'm quite frankly tired of it.
All things could be fixed. You just need the proper motivation and the proper people to lead it. And it will get fixed one way or another.
Alrighty.
Andy?
Unless there's anything else you guys would like to address, I don't believe I have any more questions.
Now, here's a statement I will pose to you. For the same reason that FE may always be disliked for their nature, that being arresting people for doing bad stuff, wrongdoings, the ethics committee will always be disliked for their nature, which is ensuring the ethical guidelines of the site are kept. Now, I ask you this question. Do you think if, in a situation where the ethics committee is removed once again, and let's say maybe in the scenario which FE become stale, you could say they turned a blind eye to certain ethical violations, which they were supposed to do in the past. And internal affairs, while they were supposed to deal with ethical violations, they did very little to none about. Do you think that a site that is committing all these ethical violations without any consequence, without any confrontation, is a site that you want to be on? Do you think it's going to be interesting when there is no conflict, when there is no resolution to problems?
Alrighty. For those currently making it to this point in the interview, feel free to go ahead and answer that question and have a small debate in the general channels. We will be ending this interview here. I thank you for your time and your interesting and informative answers. Thank you.